everybody, and welcome back to another video. I'm your host, the OT Astartes, and welcome back to, another behind the scenes video on Doctor Who Gallifrey Falls. Now, the reason I've done this is because the last video I missed a few things out. I missed the big plot twist at the end, and I missed a shit ton of things, so we're going to cover them all today. So we won't include any references here. I'll let you see the references for yourselves and search through the movie for them. Let's begin part 2. Well, the things that I forgot to mention stuff. So now we're going to go on to a bit about my Doctor. So there are a lot of things that I forgot to mention. First of all, we've got a front view of the Doctor. So in the last one, you only saw the side of him. Here, he's got his shirt, waistcoat, and a tie, which is, of course, similar to the 7th Doctor's, and the shirt, which is a similar shade to Tennant's, and a fob watch, as well as the Dark Eyes style bag and the sonic screwdriver. This is also recreating a pose from one of the Doom Coalition covers. So you notice that the 8th Doctor has his sonic, and it's on one of the Doom Coalition 2 covers on Beachfront, was it? Yeah, Beachfront. The one where the 8th Doctor meets the Vord. Now, something about the sonic screwdriver. I used a bit of a Star Wars blaster from it, so I cut off the thing where your hand would usually go, and I painted that a colour which would suit the Doctor. Now, this is homage to Smith, Tennant, and David Tennant's Sonic, and Eccleston, of course. So a little aspect of New Who there. I promise you, this was made way before any 60th anniversary things were, or devised, long before any 60th anniversary things were planned, well, or were revealed. You know what I mean. This was made before they revealed anything about the 60th. So like the Sonics, and everyone was theorising, and the trailer thing. Now a bit about the Doctor's personality. So this Doctor is very determined. He does what needs to be done, and he will always find a way, even if it doesn't seem the right one. So say the scene with the moment, it seems like the only solution, but the Doctor thinks there's something else in another vault. We'll get a bit to the alternate ending later. So there was an alternate ending plan, but I'll go on to that a bit later. But I wanted to make this Doctor less emotional than what we've had. So this Doctor still is mentally strong. He lets nothing stop him. He's clever at devising plans. And yes, he does have his light-hearted moments, so like similar to Matt Smith, but then again he can get very serious at the same time and confrontational, and he always he stands up to the Daleks, and we'll get onto that later as well, which I think is a bit that defines this Doctor. Now, every Doctor Who fan has the dream of being the Doctor themselves, and this is my vision for a War Doctor. So it's a nice mix of classic and New Who. Actually, that tear in the jacket there, you can see a little tear. I actually, long before I started filming this, I caught it on some thorns, and it tore off a bit. But it wasn't a big tear, but it really adds to the War Doctor aesthetic. Now, somebody asked on the first confidential video how I made this figure and what I used. So for this figure, I used the main body is from Professor Bracewell, The jacket was from an Auton figure. I think, yeah, it was an Auton figure. So the waistcoat shirt, it's all from Bracewell. And the head is from Rory Williams. And the back of the hoodie was stuck on from Peter Capaldi figure. And painted TARDIS blue. Although that's not what the colour is on here, it's more green. So the original hoodie I used was a Doctor Who hoodie, but I had to get rid of it. I got rid of it while I was filming, so I think I got rid of it while I was filming, but I think I did, yeah. But I really couldn't carry on with, I really couldn't change the colour because that would be a big continuity error. Even though there are a few continuity errors in there. So, for instance, the ginger guy from the opening scene, he then makes a reappearance in the infiltration team. And then the Eighth Doctor figure, his weapons, of course, change. But anywho, as I was saying, I didn't want room for continuity errors, and the satchel here is from the Eighth Doctor figure set from the Dark Eyes Doom Co-Religion version. And can I also just say that figure is in no way accurate to what the Big Finish covers look like. I hate that now character options seem to plonk a Christopher Eccleston figure, then paint his jacket blue, stick an Eighth Doctor head on it. They don't include the Sonic. I think that now character options is so uncreative with how they do things, and the toy industry as a whole. I just think that they're not as creative as they used to be. It's not as satisfying as it used to be. And even a fan could make something better than that. You know, look at this figure over here. You know, made completely from a figure template, and of course parts from other figures. I'm proud of that figure. Now I need to talk about the Doctor's personality. I intended to make this Doctor more masculine because I feel as though there is need for a masculine Doctor who won't be thrown around and stamped on like recent Doctors have been. And I want him to stand up to anything in his way. The main aspect of this Doctor is that he is determined to end the Time War. And determination is a good aspect of the Doctor as well. I'd say that he has been very determined in previous incarnations. And this one is no different. And he doesn't succumb to emotion very easily. I don't think he ever cries in this. Although at the end he feels like crying because the Time War is over, he doesn't. He's not as emotionally driven. He relies on logic and not emotion. I wanted him to give all the positive aspects of being a man, because there is a need for. I feel as though there is a need for masculine role models. Not just in Doctor Who in general, but in cinema. You know, this is your traditional Doctor Who. And that's what I wanted from day one. I wanted this Doctor to be traditional to what the role is. Now we go on to what is my favourite shot in the entire film. Because he's looking at the moment, or one of my favourite shots. Because he's looking at the very thing that could spell certain death for the Time Lords and him. And really, what I wanted for this bit is for it to be it's now or never question, or do you want to use the moment? I wanted this choice to be similar to the endings of Mass Effect 3. And also, while he's pondering we see everybody dying. We see all the squads dying, getting exterminated. We see the ship fighting, holding on for dear life, and Terra Nova is the only ship left in the Battle of Gallifrey. And I wanted this to be a bit reminiscent of Mass Effect 3, where as soon as you're deciding what's happening, everything's getting blown up around you. You can see out the window that space combat is still going on, and that even if you make your decision during whatever happens, or whether it be destroy, control, or synthesis, you see the view from Earth, from several other characters. And of course, I killed off Captain Jack again. He's going to stay dead this time. No Heart of the TARDIS, sadly. And next up, and we also have River Song dying, because I wanted this to be an alternative universe where River Song was relatively unknown to the Doctor. You know, even though River Song is his wife, now River cannot fulfill whatever happens in the timeline, although he could meet her in a past version and they could sort of recognize one another. And then killing off McCormick, I wanted to give him an honourable death. So his final scene is with the Sycorax making the last stand, saying that it's been an honour serving with you. And what I wanted to make McCormick as well was a soldier to the end, somebody who honours his values, who stands by British values, and somebody who is like an action hero. So something that I forgot to mention about the Doctor is that he stands by his morals and values. So they are obviously never be cruel or cowardly and never give up, as a homage to Day of the Doctor. It's a good set of morals to have. And here we see them put in motion as he is given the choice of using the moment to get rid of everything else in the universe but Gallifrey, but he decides not to because he would become the butcher of the universe, and we are of course reminded that a lot of people died so that he could find out what the moment is, and he wouldn't want all that sacrifice to be for nothing. Now he finds another way. He goes to the vaults and he finds the Vashta Nerada. Now the Vashta Nerada, of course, were seen only once on screen, so to use them again was brilliant. I love the idea of bringing back the Vashta Nerada. I love their concept. I think they're underused. We've only seen them on TV only once, or in 2 episodes, that being a 2-parter. And the Doctor Who Adventure games. So if you remember that, the one with the underwater sea base and the diver zombies. My personal favourite moment in that, in fact, I think that has to be my second favourite, because it's set in an underwater base and you get lots of underwater things like a shark trying to break through the glass. It's kind of like it. When I first played Subnautica, it reminded me of that. And of course we go on to a sunken ship, so we go into that, and I love the bit where you get to drain the water or fill the thing with water. You know, the bit where you've got to dodge the Vashta Nerada. That was really intense. So yeah, bringing back the Vashta Nerada. They've also been in Big Finish as well, in Classic Doctor's New Monsters. In the second box set, wasn't as good as the first. but at least they brought back the Vashta Nerada and used it as a story. Other than that, we haven't seen them very often. So to bring those back was I really wanted to do that because I was pondering on what ending to take, and and the Vashta Nerada, as they are nicknamed piranhas of the air, I'm sure that they could penetrate the Daleks' vents, slip through them, and eat the mutant inside, thus killing the Dalek, as the Doctor mentions. Now, for the effect that I used for this, I basically just stood in the way. That's all I did. I basically had a very strong light on, and I stood as a shadow, and that worked very well for the effect. And to go full Vashta Nerada, I turned off the lights so that it would go dark completely. And I'd pose the Daleks in a position that looks like they are malfunctioning. And I think one Dalek even begs for help as well, as he's getting eaten up by the Vashta Nerada. And of course, at the end, they go to this planet with seemingly great ecosystem, which I'm sure will be resolved all in due course. Now, next up, this is a line of dialogue that I improvised. So the Doctor the Doctor and Shelby are having a philosophical discussion, and this is a part where Shelby shows some humanity. So as we go later on, you notice that she starts to sound more human. I didn't intend for that to happen, but I kind of noticed that as I was editing. It's funny what you notice when you're in the final stages of production. You see things that you never knew were there. So in this bit of dialogue here, he recalls an alternative ending to Genesis of the Daleks, where Sarah Jane is actually exterminated by the Daleks, and then he recalls Davros just there laughing as the Doctor grieved. That would have been a what if. That would have been a great Unbound story if Sarah Jane suddenly got exterminated, and it would have had a long-lasting effect. And it's also a mini tribute to Elizabeth Sladen, who didn't get a tribute until The Giggle, which, as much as I hated that episode, there was much to hate about it, but at least they paid tribute to Sarah Jane Smith and the Brigadier, and they mention Adric. The only thing I'm going to say about it is the tributes that they pay, because obviously that was Bernard Cribbins' last ever on-screen production, which is really sad. There are lots of homages to Doctor Who past and present in this episode, or in this story. And also, as I was going to say, a lot of what if scenarios for other people. So Pete Tyler then becomes a figure in Unit, and then Harry Sullivan is Brigadier instead of Lethbridge Stewart. What I wanted, because this is set in an alternative universe, there are lots of what if possibilities. Now, this was my favourite bit of dialogue, or favourite scene to write, because this is the scene where the Doctor tells the Daleks to go away or else, or run, because he's coming for them. And this sounds really threatening, and that's what I intended to write for this bit of dialogue. So he's on Gallifrey and he says, and in the end, the Daleks are going to be nothing but a mere legend, and I'll make sure of that. Because I'll beat you, and I'll beat you like the dogs that you are until you're all dead as payment for the lives you've taken. So if I were you, I'd start running now. Because I'm coming for you. Now, this bit here, I'll beat you and beat you like the dogs that you are, is a reference to a promo from CM Punk. So he basically said in a promo in his feud with MJF before the dog collar match, he said, "I'll beat you, and I'll beat you until your own mother won't recognize you, Maxwell Jacob Friedman." That has got to be an intense. That's got to be my favourite CM Punk promo. But yeah, I wanted this to carry that intensity as well. I think that a lot of people are too afraid to write darker stories these days because they're scared of the woke mob going after them and of it not meeting a certain agenda. Now, something I forgot to mention on the Telos scenes were I carefully planned where I shoot the scenes in my room. So, for instance, this pipe here, it's great for a factory setting or factory or warehouse because it blends in perfectly with the themes of Telos, what kind of place it is, and how the Cybermen would be in cryostasis. So I'd reckon all the cryo and all the freezing stuff is stored in the pipes. And of course, I mentioned that my, what are they called again? Dehumidifier is kind of a nice thing, thing to use for coolant. So make it similar to a coolant vent or whatever. Next up, we have the Infiltration Squad. Now, for this, I used all sorts of things. So, so for the bit where they go in there, where they attempt to get rid of the shields, they take them down. The thing I used for the shield room were 2 of my boxes, and I put my DAB radio as the console, and I put a telescope in. Originally it was going to be the weapon systems, but I decided not to do that. I wanted to base this off of elements of Star Wars Republic Commando and Star Wars Battlefront 2, because in space combat in Battlefront 2, you basically get to, if you choose, you get into the enemy ship, you disable their shields, and then one by one you go around the ship trying to take them down and try to win the battle. I wanted to base this off that. And it's also similar to a Republic Commando mission, not just being that there are 4 people there as a mini Delta squad. Fun fact as well, I decided to name, last minute, I decided to name these 3 in the background after Top Gear presenters. So the core 3 Top Gear presenters, so Clarkson, Hammond and James May. Can you imagine if Top Gear try and Star Wars Republic Commando, but with Top Gear presenters, and just the Stig as one of the silent commandos. Next up, we have another shot of the battle. So this is the hangar fight. So this is also an aspect of Republic Commando, or an element of Republic Commando. So in it, you could man turrets. So I decided to make some turrets out of Lego, or a turret at least, and give it the nickname of Viper turrets, because the main headpiece for it was a piece from Lego Ninjago, or from a Lego Ninjago set, which was in the when was it the Master Chen range, the Tournament of Elements toy line, the one where did it have coal? Yes, I think it had coal in. No, I think it had coal in. I'm not too sure. It was a Anywho, it was one of them, and it had an Anaconda warrior. But yeah, it was that set. Wait, was it? Yeah, it was, because it had an Anaconda warrior with it. I'll remember eventually. So yeah, also another continuity error. This is the same. Well, this is the figure of the Time Lord that got exterminated in the opening scene. It's not the same person. It's just I just found any random figures I can that I'd not used, but obviously I made a mistake with that. Now, as for the battle, something I forgot to mention about the battle was I carefully planned it, and it would take up most of Act 3. Of course, it would cut between all the 3 squads, so Infiltration, Hangar, and the Panopticon squad. And I wanted it to play out as if it was a battle, so not just a quick battle. I imagine the scale of all the battle and what would happen. So what would be happening in the fleet, you know, what ships would get destroyed while everyone is trying to fight in the Citadel. I was really careful about what would happen. And here we have our Panopticon squad being Riversong, a Sycorax, and a Krillitane, with 2 big machine guns. Yeah, this Sycorax is a this is from the Transformers Dark of the Moon Optimus Prime toy, which I repainted to become Motormaster or Scourge, if you're thinking of Transformers Robots in Disguise 2001. Next up, now here we have the story mountain that I had. So a lot of this was changed. So alternate universe, Doctor says he needs the moment. Doctor gets Earth allies. Then you can see some scribbled out writing here. Doctor goes to Cyberman to stop them. Doctor goes to Cybermen. Triple threat battle. Cyberman Earth. We were going to have Cybermen convert. We were going to have Earth conquered by the Cybermen instead of being destroyed by the Daleks. And also the Eye of Horus, the artifact that they're on about, is a homage to Horus Lupercal from Warhammer 40,000. So then we have triple threat battle of the Citadel. Doctor gets the moment and everybody dies. Originally, the ending was the Doctor was going to use the moment and everything would just get destroyed. I didn't want that ending. I wanted to give a different. I wanted to give a different tale to the one that we know. So in Day of the Doctor, the Doctor saves Gallifrey by trapping it in a cube thing. And also it would still make, and if the Doctor had destroyed Gallifrey with the moment for the original ending, he would still have felt guilty about just losing Gallifrey, as said by the 9th and 10th Doctors and the whole Last of the Time Lords thing. I didn't want that to happen for this. I wanted it to be the Doctor finds a way eventually. Next up, we have a deleted scene. Originally, another ending that I had in mind was the Eye of Harmony. So the Doctor actually, I like this bit of dialogue. I think I should have kept that bit in. This bit, you know, when the Doctor says, "This was your plan all along. You were going to use the moment," and then a lot of dialogue, and make the Time Lords the only race in the universe. And then the Doctor and Rassilon, of course, have a wrestling match. So there are lots of wrestling descriptions here. So grappling waist lock. Then one of the characters gets taken down, and then Rassilon regenerates and feeds Artron energy into the moment. Crystal powers up, the Eye of Harmony will open, and then Shelby is told to try and shut the Eye of Harmony. And then the Doctor is told that he fought on the wrong side. And then he said, I didn't fight, I helped. And then Rassilon describes him as a coward. And the Artron energies collided with the Doctor. The Doctor German suplexes Rassilon. He still regenerates, but even more. And his last words are, now Gallifrey rises. And then we cut to Shelby in the corridor. She tells the Sycorax that they should go to the Eye of Harmony to go below the Panopticon. Everyone clears a path for Shelby. Shelby gets a gun and she immediately gets the Eye of Harmony, and I didn't know where to go from there, so I went with the Vashta Nerada thing. Actually, now I'm kind of glad I didn't go with that. Now we have alternative endings that I had in mind. So first one being Black Hole is created and devours Gallifrey. The next one being the Doctor uses Hand of Omega to make a star go supernova and lure the Daleks into it. The Web of Time is used. The Doctor uses a super laser to destroy the capital and everyone in it. Everyone in it alive goes to the TARDIS and the moment is placed in the TARDIS. Doctor alters moment's function to wipe out the Daleks instead. In the end, I'm glad that we went with the Vashta Nerada. I'm glad I didn't go with this one, that's for sure, because it had destroyed his own place. Yeah, all of these... See, the thing is, I didn't really want it to echo the canon that happened, so I didn't want the Doctor to then feel guilty for destroying Gallifrey. I wanted Gallifrey to be saved, because I wanted this story to at least have a happy ending, and the Doctor resolves the problem and finds a solution. Now we have this final shot, and I love this shot. And I'm lucky that the sun was out at the time, because it shows that the sun is now shining on a destroyed battlefield and war zone. So before we wrap up here, I'm just going to explain why I made Gallifrey Falls in the first place. So the first reason I made this was, of course, to celebrate the anniversary of Doctor Who. And I wanted to make a stop motion that celebrates the Doctor. Originally, this was going to be a multi-Doctor story. I started... I was in the middle of writing part 1 and filming it even, but I then decided, actually, a lot of other people have done multi-Doctor Who stories, so a better idea would just be to go in another universe, create a what-if scenario. The original what-if was, of course, to destroy Gallifrey, but that all changed, and I wanted it to be... my image for the Doctor, and I wanted to think. I thought carefully how I would plan his personality, how I would plan his costume, how I would basically plan how the Doctor thinks and feels. So my initial thoughts is, what would the Doctor do in this situation? And I wanted it to stay true to the character. I don't have much faith in this new era. I didn't like the way that they just nostalgia baited on the specials, on the Tennant specials. I didn't like the story and the villains of the Christmas special, and I don't think I don't have much hope towards this new era. All I wanted to make was an episode of Doctor Who that was traditional and that meant something to the fans. I wanted to make people feel something with the dialogue and how the story progressed and how events had unfolded in the story. I wanted this to be aimed towards the fans who want Doctor Who to just be a good show. And what I didn't want to do with this story is add any politics. I wanted to make a good story with good characters, with decent dialogue. And it may not be perfect. I'm proud of this story. I'm proud of how I've written this, of the production value, and how it has come along, how it's unfolded, and how this story has ended up. And this is, I think that out of all the stop motions that I've ever made, this has got to be my favourite. So yeah, I'd like to thank you all very much for watching this video, and I'll see you all later. So goodbye, good night, and follow the buzzards.